Donald Trump fears that Joe Biden will get back in power, and one of the first things he'll do is try to get us back in the Iran nuclear agreement, the 2015 nuclear agreement that him and Obama negotiated. And so Trump wants to make sure that doesn't happen. So what's he doing? Anything and everything to screw up our relationship with Iran even more before the next administration comes in. And that's why they said, we cover the story on this show, and I think there's probably merit to it. You had Trump asking his top advisors after he lost, how quickly can we attack Iran's top nuclear site? And then we're in such a bad position that even the uber neocon hawks like Mike Pompeo and Mike Pence were like, hey, dog, listen, we can't really risk that right now. Like, if you wanted to do that like a year ago, that's sort of what's up, and we'd be with you. We're down for attacking whatever in Iran, of course.
No.
We hate them. We want to do regime change. That's what we're all about.
Jesus Christ.
But you want to do it now? I mean, it's a little too late, because what happens is you create a giant international crisis. You could spark World War III, and then immediately as that's happening, we're in a weak position because the administrations are changing. The transition is occurring. So, I mean, that's catching us with our pants down in no uncertain terms. So even the uber neocon hawks were like, gonna have to X-nay on the Planskay because that shit ain't gonna work, man.
See, like, God, it's so his views of politics is, like, at least international politics, is so simplistic. Like, he just thinks so black and white. These people always want war. These people are always anti-interventionists. Like, it's just like,
we can't do that. So Trump was looking to attack Iran, looking to immediately start war with Iran. And instead, what happened is this, my guess is this is what they floated as like a plan B. Either the United States or Israel or both working together were like, well, we have intelligence on their top nuclear scientists, so why not kill them? Now, the other thing I have...
Which is really smart. Really smart. I mean, look at the alternatives you're giving to war. These are alternatives to war. Imagine being able to, like, look at the past assassinations on and also the secret, like, explosions in Iran's top nuclear facilities, right? Imagine being able to so effectively, so precisely, so without so little collateral damage, take out key figures like Qasem Soleimani and Iran's top nuclear scientist, Fakhrizadeh, and set, like, all the programs. Like, it wasn't this guy, it was the top scientist, right? But there was a whole bunch of other scientists that were taken out before him as well. And some of the key facilities that do centrifuges, right? Without going to war. These are alternatives to war. So thank you to whoever is making these decisions.
Have to point out, and you're not going to get this at all in mainstream media, and it's pathetic because they need to do their job and they need to do it right, is that there's no evidence Iran even has a nuclear weapons program.
There's no evidence that Iran even has a nuclear weapons program, right? Nuclear weapons program, okay? This has been the narrative from day one of the Obama nuclear agreement and all, and then Trump, and then even before that with Bush and everything. Yeah, it's been going on since Bush announced Iran as one of the axis of evil, right? So this is going on for like 19 years. This discussion, and people are like, well, is it just nuclear energy, or is it a nuclear weapons program? And he's like acting like, oh, look at this. Like, there's no evidence Iran has a nuclear weapons program, right? So
there's no evidence Iran even has a nuclear weapons program. Now, I know you hear that and you're like, Jesus, like, what? What are you talking about?
No, Kyle, this has been going on. This is the claim that we keep having to deal with for so many years now. Like, I was a child. I grew up with these discussions. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Somebody is saying, Abbas is saying killing scientists is terrorism anyway and should be called out. Nope. Wait, so you think, like, for example, this guy, first of all, this guy was part of IRGC. And IRGC and is basically part of a state sponsor of part of a state, and is a state that is a sponsor of terror. So I don't know if you consider taking out members of a terror organization. Again, I shouldn't keep saying their actual word because I don't know if YouTube likes it. But I don't think taking members of a terror organization out will be considered terror itself. Oh wait, did we just get a new member? Oh, we did. Wow, Soha keeps track of everything. Well, hi, thank you for being a member. Hadeb the odd. Okay, here. Selva is saying if they have nuclear bomb tech, if they don't have missile capabilities, then it's kind of like they don't have the weapons. Yes, exactly. Well, that's what we're going to get to. That's what we're going to get to, Selva. We're going to see if they do, okay? So here's an interesting thing, actually. Very good point, Darko. Because when I say they probably are like that, having a nuclear weapons program, like it's not just a nuclear energy, it's actually a nuclear weapons program. Do I say that with certainty? Like, nope. Armin, do you have evidence? Nope. That's why it's a guess. That's why it's a hypothesis and not a theory, right? But I don't know. Like, actually, Carl here is saying there's no evidence, right, that Iran has a nuclear weapons program, and he just spoke a little bit too early. Because we'll get to it, okay? This is just a few days before maybe the evidence came out, okay? So is he saying that they don't have a nuclear weapons program? Because then he's making a claim without evidence. Well, we'll see. Let me see because right now it's good. Right now it's just saying there's no evidence. But let's see if he takes it to actually claiming that there are no evidence. Oh, this is Had ibn Ad. Did I say it right?
The underlying assumption in every single thing you've ever heard in discussions about Iran is that they do have a nuclear weapons program.
No, that was not the underlying assumption. The underlying assumption was they probably have a nuclear weapons program. Not that they actually do, okay?
There is no evidence.
Actually, that's what we thought that the underlying assumption was. It seems like the underlying assumption might have been different, and we'll get into that.
They have a nuclear weapons program. In fact, all the evidence is to the contrary.
Which evidence, Kyle? All the evidence is to the contrary? What evidence is to the contrary? That they don't have a nuclear weapons program?
In discussions about Iran, is that they do have a nuclear weapons program. There is no evidence they have a nuclear weapons program. In fact, all the evidence is to the contrary. All the evidence is that to the extent they have nuclear power, the uranium is only enriched to the point where you can have power for your power grid and you can do research.
Guys, it's really simple to upgrade that. Like, you could, like, oh, look at this, we're only enriching uraniums only to the point that it could be used for this and not for that. But we know how to. It's really easy for us to know how to increase that. And they have the capacity, they have the technology. You guys think it's not very difficult to go. I mean, at least they want to be able to show that they're enriching up to a certain point where it can only be used for research and power, but also be at a point have the technological capacity to be able to enrich it beyond that if need be. So just because, God damn it.
And the point of enrichment to actually get a nuclear bomb is way above and beyond what they have the capacity of doing and what they're currently doing.
Are you sure about that, Kyle? Where is your evidence for that, Kyle?
So there really is no Iranian nuclear weapons program. There's all this talk about, like, oh, well, the breakaway time for them to create a single weak nuclear weapon is like a year or whatever.
So he actually knows the counter argument, and he's still saying this. He's saying the breakaway. Look at this. He's actually saying And he makes it seem ridiculous by giving it like making a facial. Look at this. Okay, the counter to that
to create a.
So he's like, yeah, look, I didn't even know he's going to provide the counter. The counter here. Look at this. He's debunking his own argument, but he's giving it in this like he's making this like facial expression or like body like you're like, oh, like obviously that's a crazy person talk. Hold on.
So there really is no Iranian nuclear weapons program.
Wait, you just went from saying there's no evidence to now making the claim that there is no weapons program. What the hell? No, just say there's no evidence. Don't make the claim.
There's all this talk about like, oh, well, the breakaway time for them to.
Yeah, the breakaway time. The breakaway time is like 1 year or whatever. And what they're trying to do is they just keep reducing it to make it shorter and shorter and shorter. Like imagine like, yeah, we don't have a nuclear weapon right now, but we have managed to advance everything in such a level that if we want to be, we're just 1 month away from it. How about 1 week away from it? If we ever want to have one. How about just take this from over there and put it over there and go like boop, boop, boop. And now over half a day, we went from not having a nuclear weapon to now having a nuclear weapon. How about that? How about that? So we don't have one, but we can have one in a moment's notice. Like you can keep reducing that time. You know that, right?
Create a single weak nuclear weapon is like a year or whatever. That they change how long that would take.
Yeah, they changed how long that would take because it keeps getting reduced. It used to be 10 years. And now after a few years, it went from being 10 years to being 1 year. We can keep going. If we keep waiting, it's going to be like half a day. Okay.
Depending on the day.
Yeah, depending on the day, because they keep getting advanced and they keep changes.
But they don't actually have a nuclear weapons program.
Oh my God.
And beyond that,
you just provided that you just destroyed your own argument. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, exactly. Nuclear tech is from the 50s. You don't need the cutting edge technology or a huge investment. It's super easy. Yes, but it's very difficult if you're trying to do that with the whole world watching you and the IAEA having cameras everywhere, and the material that you need for it being able to be like detected easily. And it's one thing to be able to do that, and it's another thing to be able to do that without anyone noticing. Okay, that requires a lot more strategy and technology and clever espionage and secretive, which is they're dumb at, by the way. Like every time. Okay, so imagine like you have like the know-how is there. You could build a centrifuge facility, and Iran knows how to do it, and you know how to. It's so easy for them to go from enriching it up to the point where they need it only for a nuclear power plant to all of a sudden be like, whoops, oh, oopsie, we actually enriched it a little bit more. I don't know why, but like it's not that hard to do that, right? But it's really hard to do that when you make a centrifuge facility and it goes boom, boom, because Mossad just figured out a way to send some agents there. And like every time you build a facility, and again, Iran is under heavy sanctions, okay? Making the fact that they are even able to make a centrifuge facility and have, with all the brain drain coming out of Iran, the scientists that are left and the equipment that they need. And again, you could have the information that here's the technology, but there's certain parts of certain technology, certain things that you need to even they have a hard time building. And then you spend 5 years finally building one. And then one day you show up to work and you're like, oh crap, everything is on fire. Because like you guys knew about, do you guys know what I'm talking about? I think I keep assuming you guys are like up to date onto these things. Hold on. I don't know how to spell centrifuge. I keep expecting you guys to be like, there's here. This was this year. There you go. You make it there. This is what happens. It's a beautiful sight. Look at this, okay? How much technology you need to stop some... Okay, so Iran's nuclear fire at Natanz plant caused by sabotage. This is what happens. This is what Israel... You guys know about this? Oh, thank you. Yes, Kulinski doesn't have Hikmah or the Dharma. Do you guys know about this? This is Iran's... This happened in August this year. Okay, so this is pretty recent. Okay, so this is what happens when you try to enrich uranium in Iran. Mossad agents come and take it away. Why is Israel taking away all my toys? I just want a nuclear weapon and they just won't let me have one. It's so sad. Why can't I have one? They have so many. I want one too.
And subscribe! Everyone! Every single one of you is watching! Subscribe! Do it now! Do it!